Every single play, from the trenches to the touchdown, leading the way. Pigskin platoon, yeah, it's the Pigskin platoon.
Welcome to Pigskin Platoon. So we're your hosts. I'm Boston.
And I'm Christian.
So we talk about it all. Dynasty offense and defense, who to start, who to sit. We also talk about trades, rumors, rookie drafts, and breaking news on players and coaches. Draft, deploy, dominate.
All right, guys. So our top Dynasty IDP top 5. Okay. So these are the guys that we really encourage to kind of keep an eye out for. And going forward, we're just gonna kind of go we're gonna go by like category. So we'll do like top 5 linebackers tonight, and then next time we're gonna be doing like edge rushers, and then we're gonna do defensive backs as well, so that everyone's pretty much got an idea and prepared for this upcoming year. And each week we're going to kind of like dissect each player and go in depth and really kind of like show why these guys are the ones you want to have drafted in your dynasty league. All right. So coming at number 1 that we have here, we have Drake Thomas. His ideal frame is he's not like a big guy, but his production is so out of this world right now. Like he was an undrafted linebacker that went to Seattle, and at the Super Bowl he was like outstanding. During the playoffs he was phenomenal. He did some really really good stuff, and he actually took over the starting role over Tyrese Knight. So that was really cool. I got him literally right before his pop last year. And I think with the age that he's at like 26 right now. He's right there at his like prime. And so I think right now Seattle his scheme, it fits him so well. So just kind of going over his last year's stats, and remind you, this is a guy that kind of came in like towards the end of the season. So he had 96 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 1 interception, and he had 14 starts. So yeah, now becoming a true starter. We'll see how well he transitions and becoming a full timer. And over the offseason, he had a 2-year contract for about or 2-year extension for about 8 million. So like we kind of stole that extension in a way. Like we didn't really kill a lot of cap re-signing him. Um, but yeah, I think he's gonna have a really huge climb this year. His IQ is really solid, and I really think that like a lot of people should have him or take him very seriously coming into this year's league.
Yeah. So on our fantasy, we were talking points wise for this guy. So his first 2 seasons, right? It's 23 and 24 season.
Hmm.
Pretty lackluster when it comes to points. 5 and 3.5. So, but you see them go from 5 to 199. If I'm looking at it right. And look at the teams your team's got this year. So I did a quick look at like offensive lines that were kind of coming in. I know offensive lines really aren't like huge, but guys that ran the ball. So guys like San Francisco never really had like a really super big, good offensive line last year. So if those issues haven't been corrected, what you got those guys twice a year?
Hmm.
So that means your boy's gonna get your boy's gonna get some tackles in here. And then Arizona doesn't have a good offensive line. And then who else? You got the Raiders. Don't you guys have the Raiders this year? I think you guys have the Raiders this
Yeah,
year.
we got the Raiders. I mean the Raiders is going to be an interesting one just because of how much depth that they actually put invested into that offensive line. I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect, but I'm not going to say it's going to be the worst offensive line coming into this year.
Hmm.
Uh, so I have to see about that one. I just like the pieces that they got during the offseason.
Yeah. So that's what I like. I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, your team's got two teams. You got Arizona Cardinals you face twice a year. It's not really got a good offensive line. We'll see how good they do, and then they're going to have a guy behind the line. They're going to be running the ball quite a bit now, right? With Jeremiah Love, yeah, he's going to be running the ball a lot more. So they're going to be handing it to him, and it's going to give your linebackers a big opportunity to get some tackles. And um, who else?
Honestly.
Panthers don't really have a good offensive line, so
Yeah, no, I'm trying to pull it up right now. So yeah, you're good. Go ahead
who
and
does?
continue on that.
So Patriots, we already saw what your team did to them in the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
I see something similar to that coming in. Arizona, you got them like week 2 with these guys. So I see high production within that second game for sure for your boy. And Commanders have always had a really good offensive line. Chargers offensive line's not bad as long as they're all healthy. Um, then you go right up against the Niners again. Yeah, or you go up against the Niners the first time. And then you kind of start capping off the end of the year with you got Arizona for like a 3 game stretch. You got Arizona, Raiders, Niners. So we'll see how the Raiders defenses or offensive line is this year. So we'll see. And then you kind of end the year with probably three out of well, 2 out of 3 really tough games. You got Rams, Panthers, Rams again. So, but I see I see a lot of production out of your linebackers and your defensive players right at the end of the year. So I see Drake Thomas doing really good throughout the year, and especially on those games, I expect him to excel.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm looking at so a lot of people are still sleeping on this guy. I mean, he's rostered and even in dynasty leagues right now at 39%, and then there's actually 13% of people actually starting him. And I'm one of them. But yeah, I mean, he's ranked as the 37th linebacker in the league. I honestly think that's a huge steal for this guy, especially coming into a really strong end of his season. Um, I mean, let's see, going even before their bye week last week or last year, when they faced Arizona, he put up 16 points, and then
Hmm.
Tampa he put up 12, Jacksonville put up 18, Houston he put up 19 and a half, and then the bye. Then he still came out strong against the Washington Commanders, excuse me, 17 and a half points, Arizona 15 points, still like pretty much keeping that same production against Arizona. Rams, he probably struggled a little bit. I don't know if maybe there was an injury that came back at that time, but he had let's see, he had 37 snaps, 34. I'm sorry, yeah, 37
So,
snaps in that game, but he kind of struggled in that one. But then he bounced back with Tennessee and had 20, 14, and then kind of dropped a little bit, and then he bounced back against the Rams the second time around and got 22 points with them. And then to kick it off at the end of the year, he had against San Francisco 13. So he's really like he's pretty consistent. He had a couple bum games, but that's okay. Like I mean, not every linebacker is going to be perfect, but yeah, I mean, he had a really, really strong year last year, and I don't know why I don't see him like digressing, and I see him definitely improving to this next year as well.
I feel like he's gonna have some big opportunities with some of these teams or some of these games for sure.
For sure. Yeah, 100%. Okay. So our next guy that we want to talk about is going to be number 2 is Danny Stutzman. Um, what not to like about this guy? So this guy, like back in college, he actually he set the most tackles in his year, and now coming into his second year, his sophomore year, I think he's gonna get elevated a lot more. Definitely a lot of tape that we watched of him last year, lighting it up, and then now competing against like some of the top linebackers in his classroom. Um, he's a huge buy low. I still have him on my taxi squad, but I'm still waiting for that breakout. Like, but I know how well this guy was back in college in Oklahoma. So at Oklahoma, he was the tackling. They call him the tackling machine. He was a very productive linebacker. He had back in Oklahoma, he had 376 career tackles, three straight 100+ tackle seasons, and 34+ tackles for loss during his college career. And he was the All-American and team captain of his team. So he definitely has a high motor, very high HQ or IQ. I I think he is going to elevate even more. So like last year, he didn't get the production until for the most part later into the year. So he had 53 total tackles, 25 solo tackles, 28 assist tackles, zero sacks, zero interceptions, zero forced fumbles. It's okay. It was literally his freshman year, but he played in all 17 games. He just wasn't the true starter. You know, he was rotated quite a bit. But I really like how he comes in when they needed him towards the end of the season, and he still delivered at a really, really great rate. Um, and I think he's going to really show that he belongs on the roster and he belongs as a starter. Maybe maybe he earns it maybe mid-year,
Mhm.
and maybe he develops into next year being the full starter. I could definitely see it that going that route, or if not sooner, and becoming the starter for this year if he does really well during the preseason or even during training camp.
So yeah, so looking at him, so you can kind of see as his snap count increases, he only produces more. So you see, like right at the end, so 29, he had 8 points that game for fantasy, and then 34, he put up 10. So can you imagine if he had more of the snaps during that game against Tennessee? Towards the end, how much more he would have done? He's barely getting double digit snap counts right now, but you can kind of see where New Orleans defense started to see, hey, he's really good. We need to get him out there more, and it started to step up. So I see him, like you said, just doing nothing but progressing here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and what's crazy too is so he's actually rostered in 26% of people's leagues, and he's only being started five. I understand the five, you know, uh or the 26 people rostered him. I like that's awesome that people are starting to take notice. When I first drafted him, like he was a complete afterthought. I had him throughout half the league, if not more than league, and like I saw him at like 3 or 4% rostered, but now he's starting to get the notice a little bit, and I'm hoping that by maybe mid-season that percentage is gonna go up. More people are gonna realize that he's actually someone to take seriously as well. And you're right, like looking at his percentage snaps versus how much points he put up in each game. I mean, he had what in Arizona, he had 13% snaps and he put up 4.5. Like, that's not a lot of time to be on the field to put up that much. But I mean, just that small percentage just to get 4.5 points is really good. And then you go down a little bit when they start trusting him a little bit more. Like you said with the Tennessee, he had 34%, 10.5. I mean, yeah, he could definitely if he gets the full carry or if the sorry, excuse me, the full time out there on the field, yeah, you can double that. And like it would be insane for anybody to not have him on your team. Even just to have him benched for, I don't know, half the season until he really
Mhm.
pops. Or if you're doing an actual full, I mean, well, I guess if you're doing a full draft at that point, like definitely bench him. But if you're someone that missed out on that or has him on their taxi squad, keep him. Don't drop that guy. I think he's going to be something that you're going to want to look at coming down the road here pretty soon.
I agree. Mhm.
All right. So next on the list, we have coming in at number three, Nick Bolton. Uh, Nick Bolton is each year that he plays, he is a true elite linebacker. But the funny part is that like no one really talks about him. Like he's so underrated, but he's so consistent each year. Maybe it's because he's on the Chiefs. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
So I think this year too, he's going to be another guy that he's going to grab a lot more attention, a lot more notice. Um, but he is literally valued as a really underrated linebacker, and I don't know why. I don't know why no one's taking him seriously at all. Yeah, granted, I whiffed on him. I wasn't as knowledgeable as I was with him in the very beginning when I first started doing my draft uh 2 or 3 years ago. And now I kind of wish that I would have him on my league because he is a guy that is so consistent, so reliable. Yeah, granted, like you have Fred Warner, you have Michael Parsons, you got um, Roquan Smith. Like you have those structured pieces. TJ Watt, for example, he's more like a edge rusher, but he's still up there with those guys. And uh, yeah, and no one ever talks about him. Like Nick Bolton just like they just kind of skip over him, and it's I
Hmm.
don't know, it's just insane. But if you want to look back at his 2025 production and just see how well he actually did, to kind of give you an example or try kind of give you some like some facts here on why he's good and why we chose him is his total tackles. He had 154 tackles, 73 of them were solos, and he had 81 assist tackles. He had one sack, one interception, one forced fumble, six pass defended, and he didn't miss a game. He was in all 17 games last year. So that's another guy that I would definitely keep like I wouldn't even keep your eye on. I would if you see him, get him. End of story.
So yeah, so looking at like his fantasy production through fantasy, 350, 300.5, so 300 and a half points last year. Insane, right? And then 263, he had one less game, and then I believe he was injured in 23. So he only put up 128, 26 points, and then his 2022 season, 383, and his 21 season, 263. So he's going to be that guy that's going to be there, and he's going to produce for you when you guys need him the most.
Mhm.
Um, so some of his big games that he had a really good game last year against the Giants with 26 points. He had another really big game against Jacksonville, Buffalo. So Buffalo to me has really always had like a really solid um, offensive line because of how much they really love to run the ball with James Cook. So I
Yeah.
mean, he put up 22 and a half points. It tells you how much of a difference maker he was in that game for the Chiefs. And just roll on toward the end of the season there. So Dallas 22, he went up against Houston at 25, the Chargers 21, Tennessee at 21, and then Denver, he put up 25 points. So what you're seeing high production from this guy. And you're going to continue to see it because his opponents next year, you got guys like Miami Dolphins who we're really not 100% sure how they are, but they got Devon Achane though. You know they're going to be giving that ball to him quite a bit, and he's going to open up the ability to run or open up the ability to get those tackles. Same thing with the Raiders. Same thing. You got Ashton Genty going to have a brand new offensive line, and you're going to see him be able to You're going to see him test these linebackers coming into the year next year. So I think your linebackers are going to get some big points off of these guys. And then Chargers and division games are always tough. It doesn't matter. Um, and then Seattle has a terrible offensive line, so he should be able to tear them up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I 100% agree. So I why when you were mentioning that, I was looking at on Sleeper. Get this, guys. Okay. We're talking about Nick Bolton here, right? So Nick Bolton and Seattle, or excuse me, Chiefs and Seattle both faced the Redskin, or I'm sorry, excuse me, Washington Commanders during the season last year, right? So we have Nick Bolton rostered in 92% of people's league, and and he's starting in 71% of them, right? During week 8, the Chiefs faced the Washington Commanders, and Nick Bolton put for 46 percentage of it, he put up 9.5 points. Not saying I mean, like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get him just because of that, but hear me out. So you go from him, and then you look at Drake Thomas, right? If you go back to Drake Thomas, and on week nine, so literally the next week with the Commanders, Drake Thomas had 52% of his snap shares, and he had 17 and a half points. And they're both 26 years old. One's undrafted. One, be honest, I don't remember when he was drafted, but he was drafted with the Chiefs, and or was he in? I think he was drafted with the Chiefs, was he not?
Believe he was. I'll look that up.
Okay, yeah. So like, it's just insane. Like, you're getting a literal steal out of Drake Thomas. If you don't have Nick Bolton and Drake Thomas is somehow still on some people's rosters, I mean, majority because he's on 39% of you guys' roster. But his snap shares are almost equivalent to Nick Bolton. And Nick Bolton is a top linebacker, and he had 9.5 against the Redskins. I mean, oh my gosh, the Commanders. And Drake Thomas with the Commanders at 17 and a half.
So yeah, he was drafted in the second round.
Second round, you're getting a second round linebacker, Nick Bolton, and then an undrafted linebacker that has now proved himself to be a starter this year, and they're both the same age, and he's putting up more production against the same team the very next week. I mean, what else can you really say about this? And just like I just realized, I was like, wait a minute, they both faced the Commanders last year, and I had to look it up, and it actually shocked me just now. So I would definitely either keep an eye or definitely snatch him and put him in your bench and or start him. I have him starting, and I wasn't really desperate to have him, but I saw potential before his breakout, and I'm super happy that I have him. Anyways, I wanted to go off that tangent on that. I know we were talking about Nick Bolton, but I just was like, wait a minute, I had to talk about it like that. So yeah, Nick Bolton's still a great choice to pick, definitely in the early rounds in your first league. You can definitely get Drake Thomas in a super late rounds, and you don't have to feel pressured to grab him. I definitely, not to shoot yourself in the foot, I would definitely not grab Drake Thomas like early. Definitely get him like more in the later rounds. Um, just so you can have more of a solidified linebacker and then have him as a backup. Uh, until he like really shows that he is like a up there on that level. But when I watched him play, he was electrifying and fun to watch.
Hmm, he was.
Okay, rolling in at number 4, we have Peyton Wilson. He definitely had his breakout year. Well, I wouldn't say he did have a pretty good breakout year last year and the year before that. But I think Peyton Wilson has elevated himself past Patrick Queen. He actually outperformed Patrick Queen. In 2025, his production went from 126 total tackles, 74 solo tackles, 52 assist tackles, 2 sacks, 1 interception, and played in all 17 games. So another guy that is pretty close to being Nick Bolton right here. He had pretty much the same production. Uh, Nick Bolton had 154 and Peyton had 126. But they're both in solo tackles. Both had 74 and 73. And Peyton had one more sack than Nick Bolton did. And from what I'm looking at, let me see here. Peyton Wilson, he's also 26 years old, 2 years in the league, and he's 62% rostered on people's sleeper league, and he's starting in 31% of people's leagues. So he's another guy that's like in the middle of like he's becoming that guy that's going to be more relied on, and he's not much of a like guessing game with him, I feel
Mhm.
like. Especially with this new team that's coming in and new coaching staffs, I think he's going to continue to elevate himself.
And the best thing is he's like taking up. He's got about 50% of the snaps each game that he's playing. For a second year guy, it's only up from here for him. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So like you were saying, so did you read the so Patrick Queen? So this is the guy. This is the guy that's in front of him as a starter this year. Um, this is so Patrick Queen had 56 total solos and 120 total tackles, one sack, and then four pass protections. So Peyton Wilson here, he had 74 solos, 126 totals. He had two sacks, one interception for 17 yards on that. So I don't know if you already went over that,
Yeah.
but that's your two guys, right? It's your number
Yeah.
one and number two guys. So yeah, he's just gonna go. I think he's just gonna. I think he's gonna wind up taking that number one spot.
Yeah, I agree. And he's got really elite speed. So he's not one of like the slower end tactitional linebackers that sit in the back and wait. He's
Hmm.
like he's all over the place. He flies. And like honestly, the Steelers defense is so like underrated with TJ Watt, and then Nick Herbig just got a new extension and he's been coming onto the scene a little bit more. He's in the same he's the backup to TJ Watt. So yeah, I'm super excited to see how well Peyton Wilson pops off this year. Like I said, he is another guy that you want to get maybe little early, or I wouldn't say a little early. I'd say a little bit more in the middle rounds. You could probably snatch him and be good with him as like a starter and feel comfortable with him. All right, and number five, we have Dayon Henley. This guy is definitely coming on the scene a little bit more. I didn't really hear much about him over the years, but the past couple of years, he's actually been a very reliable, productive linebacker. He kind of fell towards the end of the year a little bit, just a tiny bit, but he still like racked up points each and every week. So last year alone, he had 103 total tackles, 54 solos. So still right there, like with Nick Bolton and Peyton Wilson there. 49 assist tackles. He had 3.5 sacks and two interceptions and five pass defended. I think he's got true elite IQ. Very smart guy. Very strong build. Very aggressive with the ball. I, I see him as another guy that's going to continue that production and be a top linebacker. Maybe I don't know, top three, maybe. Maybe I'm sugarcoating it too much, but I do like him. I do like him, and I thought maybe nobody had him, and unfortunately, yeah, someone on my league does have him and has him starting. So he is someone that you want to have and keep for sure. I think he's also 25 or 26. Let me see. Dan Henley. Let's see here. Where are you at? There we go. Yeah,
He's 26.
26 years old, and he's 78% rostered, and 68% are starting him. So people know. There's people out there that know. I mean, he is very consistent each and every week, and he's getting. I think his lowest was like 39% share snap, yeah, from last year, and he only had 7.5. So like, I mean, yeah, he probably could have gotten more points off of that, but he was facing Minnesota. So like, and then actually he had a really down game before that, which is Indianapolis Colts, with 60% snap share with only 2 points. But honestly, for the most part, he has been pretty reliable and pretty productive in each game. He had a couple little random here and there, but his highest actually was against Las Vegas Raiders in week 2 with 33 points with 70% snap shares. Where he had 10 tackles in that game and he had 1 sack, 1 interception as well. So yeah, that was a good jump for him.
Well, yeah. So that's pretty good. I mean, you look at it, it's like, he has some of those down games. So like last year, Kansas City put up 17, like you're talking, Vegas 33, Denver 7, kind of dropped a little bit. Giants 21, 11, 11 and a half. See, you can tell where you got really good offensive lines, right? You got 2 points against Indy, and then 7.5 against Miami. But yeah, 16, 13.5, 11, 10, 19. So I think
Yeah.
he's all but proven that he's a solid starter for anybody's fantasy league. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. If out there, if anybody that doesn't have him, I would definitely snatch him and if he's available for sure. That's it from us today. Pigskin Platoon, where football lives.
and hot takes fly like bad trades.
2 voices, 1 game.
We'll catch you on the next snap.
Thank you for watching and smash that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so you can catch all of the updates on all football from us. And comment down below and let us know how we did and where we can do better at. We appreciate it and have a good one.